The stars looked calm that night. Silent, endless, and full of secrets. No one on Earth knew that something was already watching from the dark between those stars. For weeks, strange signals had appeared on deep space radars. Scientists thought it was another cosmic storm, maybe a new comet. They were wrong. On the far side of the solar system, a fleet moved silently. Ships the size of cities, covered in black metal that drank the light around them. They belonged to the Zorith Empire, a race that had conquered dozens of worlds. To them, Earth was only another small blue planet full of primitive life. Easy prey. Commander Vratek stood on the command deck of his flagship. His eyes, cold and silver, watched the image of Earth growing larger on the screen. They are still using combustion engines, he said with disgust. No shields, no orbital defense. Pathetic. His second-in-command, Saran, gave a thin smile. Then this conquest will be quick. Their species will make good slaves. But deep in his mind, Vratek felt a strange unease. It was not fear, but something close to it. Every empire that had tried to conquer new worlds had legends of humans, violent, unpredictable creatures who had survived against all logic. Of course, those were only myths, weren't they? The invasion began at dawn. The Zorith fleet entered the atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean, dark clouds forming around their ships. The air trembled. People woke to the sound of thunder that wasn't thunder. Governments panicked. Fighter jets rose into the sky, but none returned. Within hours, the aliens had landed in several cities: New York, Tokyo, Moscow, London. The first battles were one-sided. Energy weapons burned through tanks and buildings. Humanity fought back with everything: missiles, nukes, even experimental railguns, but nothing worked. The Zorith believed they had already won. But humans are strange when cornered. In a hidden military base in Nevada, Colonel Harris watched the world burn on satellite screens. "We can't win in the open," he said quietly. "So we changed the rules." He ordered something called Project Eclipse to be activated, a secret plan even most generals didn't know existed. Meanwhile, the Zorith soldiers began exploring cities they had captured. Their sensors picked up strange readings. Human bodies, dead, but also missing. Something was moving in the ruins. Something fast. Saran reported back to the commander, "We are losing patrols in Sector 4. We think humans are regrouping." Vratek frowned. Regrouping. Impossible. They are broken. Crushed. "Yet something is killing our soldiers," Saran said, his voice shaking. "And we don't see them coming." Night fell. The Zorith had control of the skies, but on the ground, things changed. A squad of alien soldiers marched through the ruins of Chicago, scanning for survivors. Their scanners beeped, movement detected. They fired energy blasts into the shadows. Silence. Then, from the smoke, something attacked. One alien was pulled screaming into the dark. Another fell with his throat torn open. The others fired wildly, but saw nothing. When the squad leader finally turned on his light, it shone on words painted in human blood on a wall. "Welcome to Earth." Back on the flagship, panic spread through the command deck. Reports came in from every continent: ambushes, missing soldiers, ships destroyed by sabotage. The humans had started fighting like ghosts. They didn't meet the enemy head-on anymore. They used traps, confusion, fear. And somehow, they were winning small battles. "Commander, they have cut off our communication relays," Saran said, voice trembling. "It's like they know our codes." Vratek slammed his clawed hand on the console. "How can primitives do this?" No one answered. On the surface, Colonel Harris led his small team through the ruins, carrying strange metallic cases. Inside was something new, technology stolen from a crashed alien ship years ago. Humans had studied it, reverse-engineered it, and now they were turning it against the invaders. "We didn't start this," Harris said, "but we'll damn well finish it." Above them, alien ships began exploding one by one. The humans had hacked the Zorith control systems through captured transmitters. Chaos filled the sky. The aliens had come to conquer, but now they felt something they had never experienced before: fear. In the darkness of his ship, Vratek looked out the window at the burning world below. For the first time, he wondered if the stories were true, if humans were not just another species, but something far worse. He turned to Saran. "Prepare the ground teams," he ordered. "We are going to find out what these creatures really are." But as the screen flickered with static and the sounds of battle echoed through the ship, one last transmission from the surface came through, a human voice whispering, "You came to our home. Now you're part of it." The signal cut off. Silence followed. Outside, lightning flashed across the clouds, illuminating Earth like a living, breathing monster waiting in the dark. And for the first time in centuries, the Conquerors felt the urge to run. The alien fleet hovered above the burning cities like dark clouds. Smoke rose from the streets. What looked like an easy victory was turning into a nightmare. The Zorith army had power, but they were losing control. Their scanners showed strange signals everywhere: movement, whispers, and energy spikes that made no sense. Commander Vratek stared at the main screen, trying to understand what was happening. "They are attacking in small groups," he growled. "No formation, no logic. But they are effective." Saran's eyes flickered nervously. "Commander, we lost contact with 4 more ground units. They vanished. No transmissions, no life signs." "Find them," Vratek ordered. "Humans are fragile animals. They can't hide forever." But deep inside, he was not sure anymore. Something was wrong with this planet. The atmosphere, the humans, even the silence, it felt like the world itself was watching. In the ruins of Los Angeles, Colonel Harris and his team moved through the shadows. They wore black suits made from alien material, armor that could bend light. Around them, the city looked like a graveyard of metal and glass. "Status?" Harris asked quietly. "Signal hack is working," said Lieutenant Vega, adjusting her tablet. "Their ships can't tell friend from foe anymore." "Good," Harris replied. "Keep them confused. Fear is our best weapon." The humans had learned fast. They could not match alien technology with strength, but they could use intelligence and terror. Every night, small human units attacked isolated alien camps. They cut their power, destroyed their food supplies, and left messages written in blood or paint. "This is our planet. Run while you can." The aliens didn't understand the words, but they understood the meaning. Fear. On the flagship, the situation was getting worse. Reports came in, alien soldiers refusing to go back to the surface, others shooting at shadows. Saran turned to Vratek. "Commander, the troops are losing discipline. They think this world is cursed." Vratek's claws tightened around the edge of the console. "Cursed? There is no such thing. Only weakness." But then the lights flickered. The ship's main power dropped for 2 seconds. Everyone froze. "Status report," Vratek shouted. "Unknown interference," the technician said. "It came from inside the ship." Inside. That word echoed in the silent bridge. A security feed came online, a corridor view. The camera showed 2 alien guards lying on the floor, their armor torn apart. Behind them, a dark figure moved in the smoke. Fast, human-shaped, but too quick to see clearly. The feed cut to static. Saran whispered, "They're here, on the ship." Vratek stared at the black screen. Impossible. But the alarms began to scream. Down in the engineering section, Harris and his small team moved carefully through narrow halls. They had sneaked aboard using a stolen Zorith transport drone. The air was heavy with strange smells and deep humming sounds. "Plant the charge," Harris said. They placed alien energy cores on the walls, devices they had reprogrammed to overload. Vega looked at the timer. "We'll have 6 minutes before detonation." "Plenty of time," Harris said. "Move." They passed through another corridor filled with alien machinery. Then they heard a noise, claws scraping metal. Vega froze. A tall shadow appeared at the end of the hall. Red eyes glowed in the dark. "Contact," she whispered. The alien roared and fired a blue beam of plasma. The blast hit the wall, throwing dust and fire into the air. Harris rolled behind a metal crate and fired back using a stolen alien rifle. The beam cut through the air, hitting the alien's shoulder. It screamed, a sharp, metallic sound, before collapsing. Harris breathed hard. One down. Keep moving. Back on the bridge, Vratek watched new alerts flash across the screen. Unauthorized power surge in reactor room. He slammed his hand down. Seal the section. Now. But it was too late. Inside the engine core, Harris finished setting the last charge. "All done," he said. "Let's get out of here." They ran toward the docking bay as alarms echoed through the halls. The ship's lights turned red. A robotic voice shouted warnings in the alien language. Vega checked her tablet. "Commander, they've noticed." "I know," Harris said. "That's the idea." They reached their stolen transport craft. As they launched, the alien flagship began to shake. Lightning flashed across its hull. The humans watched from a distance as the mighty warship, once thought invincible, exploded in a ball of fire. Vega smiled faintly. "That's one down." Harris looked toward the burning sky. "They'll send more. We're just getting started." High above the Earth, smaller alien ships scattered in panic. Some tried to flee. Others fired blindly at anything that moved. The humans' hacked signals made them shoot at each other, thinking they were under attack. Saran's ship spun out of control, alarms wailing. He screamed into the comms. "Commander, respond. Commander." But there was no answer. Only static. When he looked down at the planet below, he saw something terrifying, human ships rising from the clouds. Not alien ships, but rebuilt human crafts powered by stolen Zorith cores. They were coming for him. Saran felt cold for the first time in his life. The Conquerors had arrived with pride and fire. Now, they were hunted in fear. And on the ground, among the ruins, the humans were no longer just fighting for survival. They were hunting. The night sky over Earth was no longer calm. Pieces of alien ships burned as they fell through the atmosphere like shooting stars. Cities glowed red beneath the smoke. Humanity had lost millions, but they were still standing. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Zorith Empire felt fear. On one of the few remaining command ships, Saran sat in the dark bridge, his claws trembling slightly. He had survived the explosion of the flagship by escaping in a pod, but most of his fleet was gone. He could still hear the screams over the comms, soldiers begging for help before the static swallowed them. Now, only silence. "Status report," Saran said. "Commander," the pilot replied, voice unsteady. "We have only 3 ships left in orbit. Ground units are scattered. Many refuse to answer calls." "Refuse," Saran hissed. "That is treason." The pilot didn't answer. Everyone knew why. The soldiers weren't refusing, they were too scared to speak. Saran looked down at the blue planet that had destroyed their proud fleet. "How can they be so strong?" he whispered. "They are nothing compared to us." Far below, in the cold ruins of Washington, D.C., Colonel Harris stood on top of a destroyed monument. Around him, survivors gathered, soldiers, scientists, and civilians who had lost everything but hope. Vega handed him a communication tablet. "The aliens are regrouping," she said. "They're trying to rebuild their command." Harris nodded. "Let them try. We're not done yet." Behind him, human engineers worked on strange machines built from alien metal and human tools. They were combining both technologies, plasma cores, AI chips, and human software. They called it Project Dawn, the first human weapon made from alien science. One of the scientists, Dr. Cato, looked worried. "Sir, we don't fully understand this power. If it fails, It could wipe out half the planet. Harris looked at him calmly. Then we don't fail. In orbit, Saran ordered his ships to prepare a counterattack. We strike again at sunrise, he said. This time, we burn them all. But one of his officers turned from the console. Commander, the other ships, they are refusing the order. Saran's eyes flashed with anger. What? They say the humans are using something else now. Not just weapons. They say the humans are calling the dead. The words hung in the air. Saran frowned. Superstition. But deep inside, he remembered the old stories, the ones elders whispered about the first race that defied the Zorath. A race that had burned their own world to destroy invaders. A race the galaxy called humans. He thought they were myths. Now, he wasn't sure. That night, Harris and his team traveled to an old underground base under the Rocky Mountains. The walls were covered with rust, but deep inside, the power still worked. They reached a sealed door with a faded symbol, a circle with a black star in the center. Vega wiped the dust away. What is this place? Harris looked at the symbol. Old government project. They called it Black Star. Started before the war even began. They opened the door. Inside, the air was cold. Rows of metal pods lined the walls. Each pod had a human body inside, sleeping, but not dead. Machines hummed softly. Dr. Cato whispered, "Cryo soldiers, from the old wars." "Yes," Harris said quietly. "But these are special. Enhanced, modified, tested with alien DNA from old crashes. They were created for one purpose, defense against the unknown." Vega looked at him, shocked. "You mean they're part alien?" "Part something," Harris said. "Let's wake them." While the humans prepared their secret weapon, panic spread among the remaining Zorath. On the surface, more of their camps went silent. Whole units disappeared without warning. Some ships reported seeing lights in the sky, not human aircraft, not alien either, moving too fast to track. Saran's communications officer trembled. "Commander, we captured a human signal. You need to hear this." The speakers crackled, and a voice came through, calm, deep, and chilling. "You came to conquer," the voice said. "Now, you will learn fear." Then static. Saran shouted, "Trace that signal." The officer's claws danced over the console. "It came from inside our ship." Everyone froze. A heavy bang echoed through the corridor outside the bridge. Then, another. The door shook. Saran drew his plasma blade. "Seal it." The door exploded inward. Smoke filled the room. Through it, shapes moved, fast, human but not like before. Their eyes glowed faint blue, and their skin had faint metallic lines. One of the aliens fired, but the figure caught the beam with his hand and twisted it back, melting the shooter instantly. Saran stepped back, terrified. What are you?" The human's voice was calm, almost mechanical. "Evolution." Before Saran could react, the human moved, a blur of motion, and everything went black. Hours later, the human fleet, small but growing, rose from Earth's surface. Some ships were alien hybrids, others completely new. The world was silent except for the hum of engines and the distant roar of thunder. Colonel Harris stood in the command deck of a new vessel, the Horizon 1. Vega joined him, watching the alien ships drift helplessly in orbit. "They thought we were weak," Vega said. Harris nodded. "They mistook kindness for weakness. But humans, we adapt." She looked at him. "And if more of them come?" Harris smiled slightly. "Then they'll see what real monsters look like." He gave the command. "Engage." Human ships burst forward, chasing the retreating Zorath. Plasma beams cut across the sky. One by one, the Conquerors fell. On the far edge of space, a broken transmission reached the Zorath homeworld. The last words of Commander Saran. "Do not come to Earth. Do not go near the humans. They are not what we thought." The message ended with silence. And across the galaxy, whispers began once more, the old stories reborn. The humans had awakened. The stars above Earth were no longer quiet. Messages of warning raced through the galaxy, traveling faster than light. Every civilization that had once underestimated humanity now listened in fear. The humans were no longer confined to their planet, they were hunting. Colonel Harris stood on the bridge of the Horizon 1, watching the Zorath remnants flee in orbit. "They'll tell their allies what happened here," he said. "And soon, everyone will know not to underestimate us." Vega, her hands hovering over the console, nodded. "The stolen Zorath ships are ready. We can strike them before they regroup." Harris smiled. "Exactly. It's time they learn what Earth does when it fights back." The surviving Zorath fleet scattered through nearby star systems, sending desperate messages to the outer colonies. But humans were fast, adaptive, and relentless. Using hacked warp cores, they traced the fleeing ships, cutting them off before they could escape. On the first planet the humans struck, the Zorath tried to set up defenses. But humans had studied every alien tactic carefully. They anticipated attacks, bypassed shields, and neutralized heavy weaponry without mercy. Saran, one of the few surviving Zorath commanders, watched from the bridge of his ship as human fighters swarmed the station. "Impossible," he whispered. "They are too fast, too smart." His communications officer trembled. "Commander, they're using your technology against you. And somehow, they know our code. Every move we make is visible to them." Saran's eyes widened. It's not possible. But deep down he knew. Humans were no ordinary species. On a distant moon base, Harris's team deployed new weapons. Project Dawn had evolved into Project Eclipse 2, a combination of alien tech, human engineering, and something no one could fully explain. Energy shields, adaptive weapons, and drones moved like living creatures, striking the enemy with surgical precision. Vega activated the first wave. "All units, attack pattern Delta. Make them regret ever leaving their world." The fleet moved as one, fast, silent, and deadly. Zorath fighters tried to escape, but the humans had calculated every possible route, every weak point. Ships exploded in sequences, and the remnants of the once mighty fleet were destroyed in hours. Colonel Harris watched calmly. "They thought Earth was small, weak, and fragile," he said quietly. "They were wrong." Meanwhile, Saran's remaining forces gathered on a barren planet. Desperation filled the alien ranks. "We must strike back," Saran ordered, his voice shaking with anger. "We must crush them before they reach more systems." But his soldiers hesitated. Fear had spread faster than any orders. Every time humans struck, they moved like shadows, disappearing before counterattacks could reach them. Stories of human ambushes, of one soldier facing a dozen aliens alone and winning, circulated through the fleet. Legends were growing, and the Conquerors trembled. One young Zorath whispered to his commander, "They are not soldiers, they are hunters." Saran turned sharply. "No, they are primitive creatures. Nothing more. Obey your orders." But the doubt had already taken root. Back on Earth, Harris addressed his team. "We have destroyed their fleet, but this is only the beginning," he said. "We need to show the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. We will hunt them if they come back. And if they stay away, that's better." Vega looked at him. "Some civilizations might not leave us alone. What if they come for Earth next?" Harris smiled faintly. "Then they'll learn the hard way. Humans do not forgive easily. And humans never forget." Deep in the underground labs, Dr. Cato worked on a new project, enhancing human adaptability further. Soldiers were being equipped with cybernetic enhancements and hybrid alien tech, giving them speed, strength, and intelligence beyond the norm. "They'll call us monsters," Cato said. Harris placed a hand on his shoulder. Let them remember why humans are feared." In the void of space, Saran made his final decision. We retreat to the outer rim, he said. We warn our allies, and hope they never return. But as he issued the order, the monitors flickered. Shadows moved across the stars. Small human ships, faster, smarter, and deadly, emerged from the dark like predators striking without warning. One of the Zoreth soldiers screamed as his ship was ripped apart. Another tried to flee, but the humans had anticipated it. In minutes, Saran's forces were nothing but wreckage drifting through the void. Saran sank into his chair. For the first time in centuries, he felt the crushing weight of defeat. Humans, what are they? He whispered. On Earth, the news did not need words. Fires of conquered cities and destroyed fleets spoke louder than any message. Across the galaxy, species that had once ignored humanity now whispered in fear. Colonel Harris stood on the deck of Horizon 1, looking at the stars. They came as conquerors, he said softly, and they left in terror. But the galaxy, it will remember what humans are capable of. Vega joined him. And if they come back? Harris smiled, eyes glinting. Then we'll show them exactly why no one should ever underestimate a human. Above them, Earth rotated silently, blue and alive, hiding secrets, waiting for the next challenge. And somewhere in the dark, humanity's legend grew, one battle at a time. The conquerors had learned a hard truth. Humans are not just survivors. They are predators, masters of adaptation, and a force no species can ignore. The galaxy was waking up to a new reality. Humans were no longer defenders, they were hunters. Across the void, planets that had never feared Earth now trembled. Ships moved silently through hyperspace, faster than any alien technology had predicted. Humanity was striking first. Colonel Harris stood on the bridge of the Horizon 1, scanning the star systems where Zoreth colonies had once thrived. Our fleet is ready, he said. It's time to end this before it spreads further. Vega's fingers danced across the console. The colonies are weak. Some of them abandoned. Others trying to rebuild. None are ready for us. Good, Harris said. We hit them fast and hard. One lesson: never underestimate a human. The first target was a small Zoreth mining planet, far from the homeworld but rich in resources. Harris's fleet arrived silently, cloaked using modified alien stealth tech. Human ships moved like shadows across the planet's orbit. On the surface, Zoreth soldiers were oblivious. Their scanners showed only a normal orbit, unaware of the human fleet above. Harris smiled faintly. Let's show them what they should have feared. Vega initiated the attack. Plasma beams and energy pulses cut through alien fortifications before they could react. Human strike teams deployed, moving faster than any alien patrol could anticipate. By the time the Zoreth realized they were under attack, the planet was lost. From orbit, Harris watched the flames spread. They'll remember this, he said. And they'll tell the galaxy about it. Meanwhile, Saran had survived the previous encounters but was hiding in a remote system. His communications were jammed. The humans' reach was everywhere, and he could feel it. They're not just on Earth, he said to himself, fear creeping into his silver eyes. They are across space, hunting. Desperate, he contacted other colonies, sending a warning: do not underestimate humans. They are predators. They do not forgive. They do not stop. But the message went largely ignored. Many colonies believed the Zoreth Empire was invincible. Some did not respond at all. Back on the Horizon 1, Harris received intercepted communications from another alien race, the KRYLL, who had once traded weapons with the Zoreth. The KRYL were shocked, panicked. They're advancing faster than we predicted, one message read. Entire fleets destroyed. They adapt to our weapons. They are not ordinary humans. They are dangerous. Harris leaned back in his chair. Good, he said. Let them think the galaxy is safe until it's too late. Vega frowned. Sir, intelligence reports indicate that some colonies have old records of humans. They call them monsters, legends of ancient Earth wars, predatory behavior, survival against impossible odds. Legends? Harris asked, a faint smile on his face. No. Humans are real. And now, we'll make sure everyone knows. On the mining planet, Harris's ground teams discovered something unexpected. Deep under the surface, in abandoned alien facilities, were ancient records, maps, logs, and symbols. Dr. Cato studied them carefully. Sir, these aren't just Zorith colonies. They were part of a larger network. A galactic empire, older than any history we've recorded. Humans weren't just defending Earth. They might have been designed to challenge this network. Harris raised an eyebrow. You mean, this is bigger than the Zorith? Much bigger, Cato said. And Earth is the key. Harris's jaw tightened. Then we make sure everyone knows humans control the key. While humans celebrated another victory, Saran was plotting desperation moves. If I can reach the ancient archives, he muttered, I might find a weapon that can stop them. But every system he tried to reach was already under surveillance. Humans were striking faster than he could escape. His fear grew, real fear, not the arrogance he had felt when he first came to Earth. They are not just fighting, he whispered to himself. They are hunting. Above Earth, Harris gave orders. Prepare the fleet. Next target, the central Zorith colonies. We take the fight to them. No mercy, no hesitation. Let the galaxy know, humans do not bow. Vega smiled faintly. And if we succeed? Harris's eyes gleamed. Then the story will spread. Humans are not just survivors. Humans are predators. And the galaxy will never forget us. In the void, ships roared forward, streaks of blue and silver against the black. Energy flares lit up distant planets. And somewhere, hidden in fear and shadows, the Zorith and their allies realized the truth. Earth's children had awakened. The hunters were now the hunters of the galaxy. The legend of humanity had begun to grow beyond its homeworld. Once seen as weak, fragile, and primitive, humans were now a force no civilization dared challenge. They came as conquerors, and the galaxy would tremble at what humans could become. The galaxy was silent. Too silent. Colonel Harris leaned over the navigation console of Horizon 1, scanning star systems beyond the Zorith reach. The humans had struck first, destroyed colonies, and forced the Zorith into hiding. Yet something nagged at him. Sir, Vega said, her voice tense. Sensors are detecting energy readings. Not from Zorith tech. Something else. Ancient. Massive. Harris frowned. Show me. The display lit up with a deep blue swirl of energy at the edge of a dead star system. The readings were enormous. Too powerful to be human-made or Zorith. What is that? Harris whispered. Dr. Cato studied the hologram. This isn't just a weapon. It's a system. A relic from an empire older than any civilization we know. The maps in the colonies hinted at it, but we never expected it to still exist. Harris clenched his fist. How old? Millions of years, Cato said. And it was designed to control entire galaxies. To wipe out worlds if needed. Whoever built this, humans barely survived against them once. Maybe Earth itself was a test. Harris's mind raced. So the Zorith weren't the first threat. They were just the first to try since it awoke. Deep in the ruins of a Zorith orbital station, Saran intercepted fragments of the same energy readings. His silver eyes narrowed. The humans are going after it, he said, gripping the console. If they find it, we are finished. He activated all remaining fleets, sending messages to every corner of the outer systems. The humans cannot reach it. I don't care the cost. Stop them, or die. But even he knew in his heart, it was too late. Humans had learned faster than the galaxy ever expected. Harris prepared the human fleet. We go in fast, hit the system first, and secure whatever is there, he said. Vega, Make sure all drones are online. Cato, prep the energy cores. Vega's fingers flew over the consoles. Sir, this system is unstable. Approaching the relic could trigger defenses. We don't know what it will do. Harris nodded. All the more reason to control it before someone else does. The fleet entered the system. Giant shards of metal and stone floated in orbit around the dead star. Energy spikes surged through the void, shaking ships and causing alarms to blare. Look at that, Cato whispered. The hologram revealed a massive structure, larger than any planet, bristling with ancient machinery. Its surface glowed with lines of blue energy that seemed alive, moving like veins. Harris studied it. This is it. Whatever made the Zorith fear humans, it's here. And it's ours now. As human ships approached, the relic pulsed. Waves of energy shot out, tearing through the vacuum and throwing ships off course. Some drones were destroyed instantly. Humans adapted, recalibrating shields and engines, dodging attacks faster than the ancient systems expected. The AI inside Horizon 1 analyzed the relic's patterns. It is reactive, it said in a calm voice. It sees all incoming threats as prey. Suggest immediate neutralization protocol. Harris nodded. Do it. Meanwhile, Saran arrived with a small fleet, hoping to intercept the humans. He watched as his ships were torn apart by the relic itself. Energy beams from the structure disintegrated fighters in seconds. What is this? He shouted. From the bridge of Horizon 1, Harris watched. It doesn't recognize us as a threat yet, but it will. We need to move carefully. We don't just fight Zorith anymore, we fight the relic itself. On the planet below, Cato activated the ground teams. They carried modified alien cores, human technology, and a device Harris called the Conduit, a tool to communicate and control the relic. Do you think it will work? Vega asked, staring at the massive structure above. Harris's face was grim. It has to. If not, every world we've ever saved will be destroyed. The humans approached, threading carefully between deadly energy beams. The relic pulsed, reacting to their presence. The ground shook, the sky lit with unnatural storms. The very air felt alive, filled with anticipation, danger, and intelligence. Harris gritted his teeth. Remember this, no hesitation. No mercy. This is what humans do best. We face the impossible, and we survive. Saran watched helplessly as the humans reached the surface. His communications were scrambled, his fleet destroyed. All he could do was watch as Earth's warriors, enhanced, fearless, and relentless, began interfacing with the ancient relic. Harris's voice echoed over the comms. We didn't come here to beg. We came here to take control. And we will. Blue energy surged around the humans as the relic responded, massive power flowing into the conduit. For the first time in millions of years, the relic acknowledged the humans, not as prey, but as masters. Somewhere in the shadows, Saran's screams went unheard. The galaxy was about to learn a new truth. Humans were no longer just survivors, hunters, or predators. They were the inheritors of ancient power. The relic pulsed, alive with energy, but obedient. Harris smiled faintly. Let's show the galaxy what humans do with power. Above them, stars trembled. Below, the relic hummed with recognition. And somewhere, in the void, the first civilizations to underestimate humanity realized the truth. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was the center of something unstoppable. The galaxy was watching. Colonel Harris stood on the bridge of Horizon 1, eyes locked on the massive relic. Blue energy pulsed like a heartbeat. Every human ship, drone, and strike team waited for his command. This was the moment. The Zorith were hiding, their allies scattered, and the relic, the ultimate weapon of an ancient empire, was now in human hands. Engage, Harris ordered. Vega's fingers flew across the controls. The relic's energy flowed into the conduit, spreading through the human fleet. Shields strengthened. Weapons surged with power. Humans had turned the galaxy's deadliest machine into their ally. Far away, in a hidden quadrant, Saran watched. His last fleet was broken. His soldiers were terrified. He had underestimated humans from the start, and now he realized his mistake. They are not just humans, he whispered, silver eyes wide. They are gods. But it was too late. The human fleet jumped into Zorith space, faster than any Zorith fleet could react. Systems fell one by one. Human strike teams moved through cities, disabling defenses, freeing slaves, and dismantling weapons. Ships exploded, one after another, leaving trails of fire across the void. Harris led the final assault on the Zorith homeworld. Orbiting the planet, the human fleet formed a circle of unstoppable power. Ground teams deployed, moving with precision and speed no alien could match. The Zorith army rallied one last time, desperate, proud, defiant. But humans had learned every tactic, every weakness, every fear. As the battle began, Saran appeared in his flagship, confronting Harris in orbit comms. "Colonel Harris," Saran hissed, rage and fear mixed in his voice. "You are nothing. We are the Empire. You cannot win." Harris's eyes were calm. "We already have." With a flick of his hand, the relic's energy pulsed outward. Shields erupted. Zorith weapons melted. Ships disintegrated mid-flight. Saran screamed as his flagship cracked and collapsed under the power. On the ground, human squads moved through the cities. They faced soldiers who had once feared nothing, now trembling in disbelief. One by one, the Zorith surrendered. Some tried to flee, but humans were faster. No escape. Harris walked among them, calm, deliberate. "You came to conquer," he said quietly, letting the words echo. "You thought Earth was weak. You thought humans were primitive. You were wrong. Very wrong." Above the planet, Vega watched as the last Zorith command ship fell into the void. "It's over," she said softly. "No," Harris replied. "It's just the beginning." He turned to the relic, which now hummed steadily, calm under human control. "We don't destroy," he said. "We defend. We protect. But we never forget. Let this galaxy remember one thing." Harris's voice carried across space, through comms, through every surviving Zorith fleet. "We are humans. We fight when cornered. We adapt. We survive. And we always rise." The galaxy fell silent for a moment, stunned. The legend of humanity, whispered in myths and fears, was now reality. Worlds that had ignored Earth now trembled at its name. Civilizations that had never met humans knew the story. The Conquerors came, and left in terror. Even Saran, drifting in a damaged escape pod, could only stare at the planet below. Silver eyes wide with disbelief, he muttered, "Humans are unstoppable." Back on Earth, Harris stood on the deck of Horizon 1, looking at the planet he had saved, and elevated. Cities were rebuilding. Humans were alive, stronger, smarter, more united than ever. The relic pulsed nearby, a silent guardian. Vega joined him. "What now?" she asked. Harris smiled faintly, eyes on the stars. "Now, we make sure no one ever forgets. Humans protect their own. Humans fight for what they believe. And humans never back down." The relic's light reflected in Harris's eyes. It had tested countless species. All had failed. But humans, Earth's children, had not just survived. They had conquered fear itself, mastered the impossible, and turned legends into truth. Above them, stars shone brightly. The galaxy was theirs to defend, and any who dared challenge Earth would remember the truth. They came to conquer, and left in terror. The story of humanity was no longer just a legend. It was a promise. And the galaxy would never forget. White heavy check mark the end.